Hello, my name is Catherine Rogers-Casarez. Today I'll be going over my lesson. In order to understand my lesson, you need to know that it's part of a bigger lesson. This summer I took a course with Dr. Fraga and we created a lesson, and I chose to create a digital portfolio for students from 6th through 12th grade. The idea was to create a modern-day trapper keeper where all lessons would be housed in one place. So every content area would have a page within the digital portfolio where students would then post their assignments. So teachers could go into each portfolio, find the lesson, the assignment that the student posted, and then grade it. And so access to the lesson would be quick. There'd be no, I lost this or I lost that, or the teacher lost this, or all the lessons would be online. And then it would be quick feedback because the teacher would then be able to grade it quickly and provide that feedback that students need. So with that in mind, one of the pieces to the digital portfolio and my lesson for this semester is called Reflections on VoiceThread. So let me go to the lesson plan. So here's my lesson. It's part of my imagination creation digital portfolio where all things are possible to be placed. Reflecting on my learning via VoiceThread. So I chose Gagne's events. The first part, the attention-grabbing introduction, what I would do, and I did this in a VoiceThread that I created, that would be the lesson utilized for the reflections, is I asked two questions. What is reflecting? Why is it important to reflect on your assignments? And students would think about this, and then they would also do a think, pair, share, and then they would videotape themselves, not alone, but with their group member, answering these questions. And then there would be another part to the introduction to the reflection with the brainstorming, and I'll go over that in just a minute. So the objective is students will create a weekly reflection via online journaling, Flipgrid, and then an in-depth reflection via VoiceThread every 3 weeks, along with a written reflection, and evaluate their learning throughout the week and every third week. Usually, students will get their progress reports every 3 weeks. I was thinking about that in mind. That was what I was considering. So after the introduction, where the students would work together in a think, pair, share format, then students would get into a group of 4. So it would be a group of 2, and then the group of 2 to be 4. And each person would then get one of the brainstorming questions. And the questions are here. And they would fill out a brainstorming piece. And then they would go onto VoiceThread and videotape their answers as a group of 4. So the questions are, do you know the importance of reflection? Do you know why it is important to reflect on your work? What are the benefits of reflection, and what are ways to reflect? What are some ways? What are some protocols? I also, within the VoiceThread, I put a clip of Doogie Howser reflecting, journaling on his experiences. So that right there would give the instructor kind of a talking point, a discussion point for the brainstorming and reflecting piece. So goal-centered. Depending on the school's grading cycle, 6 through 9 week cycles, reflections will be posted once a week with an in-depth reflection via VoiceThread every 3 weeks. I need to add that, every 3 weeks. So there will be Their weekly reflections, which could be a journaling, online journaling, and then they would do a Flipgrid session from their journaling. But the in-depth reflection would happen every 3 weeks, and this is when they get their progress reports. Students will begin posting on a Friday in their last class, and posts will then be due no later than Monday morning at 9 a.m. When you see the VoiceThread lesson, you're going to see that there's group work, but then it's individual work as well. Reflections will be based on the student's school week and what they learned, and it'll be similar to the Doogie Howser MD meets modern day technology is kind of what it'll look like. Learning guidance. We can show examples, videos, provide examples actually working with the kiddos. Continued blended learning, continuing that learning, showing the kids how to use VoiceThread, how to use their digital portfolios, how to kind of utilize the online journaling piece, having tutoring available and tutorials, online tutorials for the kids so that they could also work from home. Practice. Students will have time to practice with the teacher and learn how to utilize VoiceThread. I also made a video on how to log into VoiceThread with a Canva infograph. Weekly time allotted to make adjustments if needed. So they're provided time, especially in their last class. Feedback. So the feedback, what needs changing, continued changes, daily progress, timely feedback, weekly reflections, and then monthly reflections. So the weekly reflections is online journaling, Flipgridding, and 3-week in-depth via VoiceThread. They can also have monthly posts on a Padlet. And of course, with the reflecting, face-to-face student conferences could be available during group work. Assessing. So how will we know if students complete their reflections and in a timely manner? Well, first there's going to be a timeline. So every 3 weeks, they'll have to have their VoiceThread completed, and they'll have that timeline available. And then teachers have to go into the VoiceThread and make sure that students have reflected on their digital portfolio. So reflection creations and submissions will be on due dates. And then teachers can also provide feedback on where you can progress. But students will also have a rubric. So the rubric will define what excellence looks like in regards to reflecting. So did each reflection contain the necessary elements? And that'll be provided with the rubrics. Again, they'll have a timeline of reflections when their postings are due. They'll also have time in their last class. They'll have access to Google Docs, Google Classroom, and the rubric. So enhanced transfer of knowledge by tying it into the real world. Well, in the real world, this can help the kids with their college applications, with employment. It shows them how to organize and to keep up with their due dates. And also the reflection piece. If we're teaching kids to reflect in the 6th grade and throughout their educational career, it helps them to look at their goals and see what they've accomplished and what they still need to accomplish. And then they can do that via VoiceThread, Google Docs, their digital portfolio, and also the Flipgrid and the online journaling. So that is my instructional planning document. If we go back to my blog, you can see how to log into VoiceThread, the recording that shows students how to log in. I also provided the Canva infograph to show them how to log in. And then the VoiceThread lesson. This is what it'll look like. Okay, so it says we do not learn from experience, we learn from reflecting on experience. And then you can see I provide some videos that students. Walk them through what they need to do.
3-week period. So why is reflecting so important? Why are we taking the time to reflect on our posts, on our assignment?
I also provide videos that talk about reflection, why it's so important to reflect. There's another video with students reflecting. I provided a weekly learning log to help students with the reflection piece, a goal setting worksheet, reflection sentence starters, and of course the little piece from Doogie Howser, the way he would reflect via online journaling back in 1992. This was innovative for the time. So I provide some more directions.
Welcome back. Now that you've had time to reflect on your postings and what you have posted, and now that you have had time to...
then they have a brainstorming piece. They have more directions. And so for each one, they also videotape themselves. And that is the end of the VoiceThread lesson for reflection. And that is the end of my instructional planning document, my lesson plan, and how it will be phased into the digital portfolio. Thank you.